All right, and of course, for proper context, Somali normally has two rain seasons every year, and since 2020, they've lost about four of these rainy seasons. Expected to also lose the fifth one or miss out on the fifth rainy season, and that's what caused the drought that we're talking about here. It's a pretty sad situation. We hope that these persons are able to, find some succor somehow, some way. Let's move away from Somalia and now go to Tanzania, where it currently is also dealing with its own issues. The highest point on the continent is on fire. Tanzania has currently mobilized soldiers to reinforce civilian firefighters and volunteers involved in the fight of a fire on Mount Kilimanjaro, which has been raging for more than 10 days. The fire started on the 21st of October near the Karanga camp at an altitude of about 4,000 meters, a crossing point for climbers on their way up to the continent's highest peak, named the Roof of Africa, which measures about 5,895 meters.
Now, with a total area of more than 750 square kilometers, the park is home to a remarkable ecosystem with rich flora and fauna composed of elephants, buffaloes, and antelopes. And the flames have spread to other sites with over 600 people in the firefighting team. The latest reports from the Tanzania Defense Forces, the TPDF, say soldiers have arrived on the mountain and they are ready to extinguish the fire. The TPDF did not specify the exact number of soldiers dispatched. It really is a sad situation, like you said, Osalge. I mean, this is a mountain that the surroundings are shaped or were shaped by different fires in different times, but now the fire is what is threatening it.
So for Kilimanjaro, it feels like it's pretty much the same thing happens, about this same time every year. October, if you remember the one in 2020 also happened in October. So yeah. This also is late October. I think it's probably the driest time of the year, and so there's expected to be the risk of fires, and that's why these things happen. There's some clarity that needs to be sought on whether it is affecting the tourism business. The government says it isn't, but of course there's one or two people who are in the business.
Exactly,
that say,
some people are
not
saying that
very many people are eager to climb the mountain anymore. This is a mountain that gets up about 50,000 visitors every year from across the world. So it's something that needs to be dealt with. But joining us this morning on Breakfast Central is Robert Minja. He's a journalist based in Moshi, Kilimanjaro region. Good morning, Mr. Minja. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Morning to the Black person in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
How is you?
We're fantastic
Very
this
good,
morning.
thank you.
We hope that the people in Tanzania are the same. The fire has been on for about 10 days now, and of course it comes just about 2 years after the one in 2020, which also burned for about a week across 95 square kilometers. Has it currently been established? Is there any ideas on what started the fire? And what level is the firefighting currently on?
It's true. The fire engulfed the Mount Kilimanjaro forest, which is the nature of the Kilimanjaro, which is surrounded around the peak of Kilimanjaro. And the fire started, as you said, 10 days ago, because the fire started at the Karanga, as you said, where the Karanga is the point whereby the 6 ways of climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, where those ways, they have 6 gates in different districts around Mount Kilimanjaro region, where we have Londoros, we have Lemosho, we have Machame Gate, we have Mweka Gate, we have Rongai Gate, and the Marango Gate. These all gates are climbing ways to Mount Kilimanjaro. And where the fire started is where the points, all these 6 where the fire started 10 days ago, and the fire, once they started, the government of Tanzania took measures of make sure they extinguishing the fire, and they deploy a lot of people, especially the citizens around the Mount Kilimanjaro. They deploy the army of Tanzania. They deploy police forces in different corners of our country in order to extinguish the fire. But right now, the source of the fire is not yet established by the authorities. they're still doing their own investigation to know where the source of that fire started and how was it started till now. But they are still fighting to make sure the fire is extinguished, and the government officials like the Minister of Tourism and the Resources now is in Mount Kilimanjaro there at the gate of Mweka, where is the point where people climbing to make sure they are going to extinguish the fire. And right now, as we are talking, they are still there. Many people are still around, more than 1,000 people around the top of Mount Kilimanjaro, make sure they're extinguishing the fire. And we have said, as we talk to these officials, now they are not disputing the information about what is going to happen is happening there in the mountain, because they are still busy making sure the fire is extinguished first. Then they're going to give us the report of what they started and how they manage, how many people they deploy there. But the government of Tanzania issued the funds to make sure those funds are going to deploy people to enable them, like food, equipment, to make sure they extinguish the fire. Like
All right,
you have seen.
Okay, thank you, Robert. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I was also going to ask now, and I really hope that those there are staying safe. But as of last week, it would have been safe to say that the fire was not a threat because it seemed to have been under control. But then eventually it scattered to other nearby sites. So do we know what was responsible for that? Do we attribute it to the dry land, or was there something else, a factor responsible for that?
The responsible is the Tanzania National Parks, where is the one who managed the parks. And once something like this happened to the mountain, they took the security forces together. So they come together, they discuss together, then they join the force to go to extinguish the fire. So
yeah, but is the fire spreading because of the dry lands, or is there something else responsible for the spread of the fire?
That is true, because now the season is a low season of tourism, whereby there is no rain there around the mountain. So the area where the fire started is the area which is dry, and the nature there is not the big trees or the tallest trees, is the shrubs. These shrubs is the one which catches fire a lot. They call it Yerika trees. Those Yerika trees, just like a cypress trees, whereby once they catch the fire, though they are still growing, they catch a lot, and it is spread around the areas very quickly, because they are around the mountain. There is so strong winds around the places where the fire. You can see the fire is engulfing that trees, and if you see these trees, it's not the tall as you can see, is just like a shrubs. So the taller one is the one which is the another side, because the Mount Kilimanjaro has like a 5 continental tropical weather condition, according to the history, according to the National Parks Authority management team, where they are concerning about this information. So because of that, the Mount Kilimanjaro has this place where there is some places which is very flat. There are so huge stones where it's very dry, and once you go another point, you're going to find there is places where there's rainforest. And this rainforest is where we have many sources of waters, whatever. But where the first...
Yeah, I mean, I think, not very many people will know those areas as much as you do. I would have even loved to see your surrounding, to see, if you are, currently close to the mountain. But I want to ask, about casualties. Now, the government has deployed soldiers to reinforce the civilian firefighters and volunteers. Do you think the army will bring much impact to the fighting of this fire? And then also talk about casualties. Have there been any casualties so far? And that includes wildlife.
There's no any casualty there until now. As we talk, Mount Kilimanjaro does not have many wildlife, these creatures. The wildlife used to be around this rainforest where the fire does not go far to that extent. So, as you said to this about the army did a lot of the work around the mountain to extinguish the fire, and the army, they are doing better, and once they participated with these other armies like police forces, these firefighters, and the local citizens who are joined the hands of the government to go there to extinguish the fire. They have done a lot. Until yesterday, we got the report from officials. They, at least the big area have already contained by this team, whereby led by Army of Tanzania and police forces and firefighters and the other well-wishers who, like they are operating in this mountain Kilimanjaro as the tour operators.
All right.
All right, thank you so much, Robert Minja, our journalist based in the Moshi region of Kilimanjaro. Thank you once again for joining us on the Breakfast Show.
Thank you.